Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? I've dressed down for this morning. I hope you guys are all right with that. Good to see everybody. I think Joe Swick, first one in. Good to see you, buddy. And scratching and surviving, I hear you. Blake, good to see you. Shambot, Kevin, good morning, Kevin. Hoos, Jim, I saw you. Why isn't Jim listed? Oh, I didn't scroll down far enough. For some reason. Ryan, Roger, Victor, Chris, good to see you. Tad, Brett, some guy Brett. Maddie Q, good to see you. Gabe, morning. Gabe coming out of the shadows early. I see you, Gabe. All right. Harrigan, good to see you. Thanks again, everybody joining this fine Saturday morning. Much appreciated. Everything's working. Thought I had a scare, but nope, all good. Blake says ran Fabula Ultimate for Matt and Roger, who was fun. Sweet. I'm glad you got that off the ground. I know they were pretty excited. Flint, on time, indeed. Very well done. As a matter of fact, right on the button right now. Bam. I think I started a few seconds early. So good to see Flint. Phil, good morning. Wow, good turnout today. Holy cow. A-listers all as far as the eye could see. Like I said, best game masters, best RPG players in the hobby right here today. Absolutely. All right. Since it's D&D year, 50th birthday, I don't think I'm going to come up with 52 things about D&D. I suppose I could try. Accidental Rob, good to see you. But we'll stick with the theme of D&D that is the grandfather of the RPG hobby. Nelson, good morning. We're going to go with favorite D&D module or adventure. Published. Not pre-published. Not post-published. Just published adventure. Uh-oh, Blake turns 52. Blake, born in the year of D&D of our Lord. Blake, you look fantastic for 50, you youngster. Mr. White, good to see you. Now, this could be... Now, people are going to go, well, is it to run or to play? And I'll tell you what, if you have a different one that you like to play and a different one you like to run, then you can name two. It doesn't matter. Flint, good question. WotC published or TSR published. Anything. It's got to be a D&D specific module. Don't start throwing DCC or any of those things in here. It's got to be a D&D module. It could be a third-party module for D&D, but it doesn't. I don't care who the publisher is, whether it's WotC, TSR, an individual, if you will. Roger French, always the first one to shoot in the in a showdown. Scourge of the Slave Lords. It's classic. I might have to take this off. I think the buttons are hitting the desk and they're like probably not overly good for sound. Scourge of the Slave Lords. Blake says if it's not Hasbro, it's just Sparkling Pathfinder. Nubis, good to see you. Morning. Question du jour is continuing the celebration of... I'm taking this off. It's getting real. Continuing with the 50th celebration of the D's and D's. What is your favorite published module for D&D? Third party, whoever, doesn't matter, but it's got to be for D&D. Matty Q says classic Hamlet, not to be confused with omelet. Yeah, I'll be here all day. Who says first and only one run, Village of Hamlet? That's 2 for Village of Hamlet. Now, this isn't a voting, this isn't a contest, so. Jim says the only TSR module I've actually run was Keep on the Borderlands. Never ran any WotC adventures. Some classics coming out. Harrigan, N1, Against the Cult of the Reptile God. That's a good one. I started reading that not too long ago, just to kind of go over it. I heard it's a good base of operations. Brett, Return of the Tomb of Horrors is the first one that comes to mind. Brett, Tomb of Horrors. Well, doesn't seem too much of a stretch, I would say. Who would want to return there? D&D, it doesn't matter. In any edition, Nubis. Any edition. BX, Moldvay, Original, OD&D, whatever. Doesn't matter. As long as it's D&D. D&D is editionless in the eyes of this guy. No, it's not. I mean, it is, but I'm being facetious. But any D&D published module, third party or what have you. Victor White says, I'm going with the first I remember ever running, The Lost City. Kevin says, Tomb of Annihilation. Nelson, Ravenloft. Classic. Ravenloft classic. Andy Hall, Tomb of the Lizard King. Good to see Andy, by the way. Good to see you too, Brett. I think I did. Greetings and salutations. Tomb of the Lizard King. Mr. White, Ravenloft. Maps were awesome, weren't they? Like it was just another. It's just you can't not like Ravenloft if you like the old classic AD&Ds, right? It doesn't have to be number one. Doesn't have to be favorite, but Blake's RPG Zone. Not to be confused with Blake Ryan. Minds of Madness. I don't know if I'm familiar with the Minds of Madness. Phil McClory, not Ravenloft. He says Curse of Strahd. Ryan West says, does the Red Hand of Doom count? Of course it does. That was published, right? Twice. I think it was in, it was a solo, and then it was also in Tales from the Yawning Portal, right? Yeah. Chris says, Village of Hamlet is the best I've run. The best you've run, even. Nice. Brett says, on brand, regarding his return to the Tomb of Horrors. Tad says, nostalgic love for Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. Tad, do you have the DCC reprint? The big, huge megatome that they redid. Kevin says, also greatly enjoyed Curse of Strahd and Ravenloft. Mr. White says, White Plume Mountain was great to run. Jim says, I'm considering running the Lost City at some point, but on the other hand, I could do Caverns of Thracia instead. Indeed. I think I might pick up one of Jacquet's modules. It's been a long time that I've seen Dark Tower, and I don't even think I ever read it. I think somebody owned it in our group. And I think we tried getting through it, and we were like, man, this thing's crazy. Crazy hard. Accidental Rob says, might just be purely for nostalgia for me. It would be The Secret of Bone Hill. Some of these just hit the right spot, like it was the first time you played, and that always seems to stick out. Nubis says, official, Lost Mines of Phandelver. It's pretty good. The Evils of Ilmire was great. The only TSR one I've played was Castle Amber, run by Nelson, which was very interesting. Nubis, did I play in that session with you? I was in that game for one session because I think a couple people couldn't make it. I don't know if Dubis was one of them. Brett says Rime of the Frostmaiden is going to be near the top for me because of how much fun my group is. How much fun the group is. Dude, how much fun the group is run for. How much fun he's running. How much fun you're having running it for the group you have. Yes, I get it, Brett. I am curious though, Brett, did you run into issues with and they said in the beginning it's kind of tough to get it off the ground because there's a couple things that don't make sense and like how to connect the dots in the beginning of the adventure. Not that you couldn't overcome them by any means, but I just was wondering if you had encountered some things where you had to bend it and hammer it into submission in the beginning. Flint says, did mostly homebrew in the 80s, but like running Lost Mines of Phandelver. That's a good one. Tad says, I do have the giant reprint. Those books are great. Oh, we could do settings next week, Ryan. Don't jump. Hey, let's not. I know you're an overachiever, but let's not jump ahead. Sean the Wrecker. Yeah. That's okay, Brad. It's early. You drink another cup of coffee, buddy. You'll be good. No, it's all good. I'm half interpreter here. Yeah, you jumped into it for a session. I was the missing one, but I managed to jump in late. Yeah. Okay. So you didn't get to see I'm just going to do this. Orcus, good to see you. Just joining the question du jour, continuing with the birth year of the D's and D's. What's your favorite published adventure for any edition of D&D and any publisher? Third party, TSR, WotC, DM's Guild, individual. Jim says the Judges Guild versions of Jacquet's modules are harder to find now for reasons, but I think Goodman has a 5e DCC conversion. I'll have to keep that in mind. I know they're doing Thracia, and I think it's in the works. Might even be on Kickstarter right now or going to be. I don't remember, but I know that's in the works. Shambot says, I really like the Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Love that. Love how that can be finished without combat, and that's without any modifications. TSR's Castle Amber. Nice. It's funny how we get played 4 hours, man, didn't roll a single die. I thought it's funny we think that's novel, but then people love throwing dice. What do you like about D&D? Chuck some dice. Is it because we could get through a scenario without having to be and conform to the combat of the D&D? Is that maybe why? I empathize. Wow, it was a great experience. All it was role playing and social interaction and dialogue. It was fantastic. Tad says Phandelver is very good. Still my top recommendation for first time 5e players. Yeah, it's a good module. One that hasn't been said that gets pretty good reviews, and I've run it before, is the Sunless Citadel. Orcus Dorcas says, Under Illifarn, best intro AD&D module ever. Shouldn't that be EVAR? Evar? Just saying, in that context. LMOP was my first RPG experience. Ran it for friends. It's a solid first-timer module, in my opinion. That's the Lost Mines of Phandelver, if somebody lost that acronym. Brett on the Rime of the Frostmaiden. Nothing really cumbersome. Every published adventure I've run has needed some work for my table and group. Once the group got through the first encounters, they were 100% brought into setting, and the flow moved very well. Very good. Nell says, I'm planning to run Dark Tower at my local FLGS. It's a Jacquet module. Yes, it is. Goodman Games is remaking Dark Tower for DCC. Yeah, I want to get it, but I don't want it for DCC. I want the original. It's hard to find, huh? I can't get it in PDF. Is there a rights thing that's like screwing that up? If it's complicated and dramatic, I don't need to know, but just curious. Ryan says Sunless Citadel was what I was going to say if Red Hand of Doom didn't count. What counts? AJ ran the Sunless Citadel for me and some friends as it was very good, says Brett. Kevin, I definitely tinker with pre-published adventures to mold them for my group. Builds a better experience for my group. Well, they don't have to be pre-published. They just have to be published. Just woke up. Don't at me, bro. All right, Orcus. That's so California statement there. Don't at me, bro. Tim says if your best D&D sessions are the ones where no dice are rolled, it's time to look at other games that play towards your interests instead of against them. Statement, not a surprise from Tim. And having known Tim for a little while. Wayne, good to see you. Tim says, back in the day, I liked Vault of the Drow. It's Drow, people. Drow. You've heard it. You've heard it here last. Judges Guild is canceled. Oh, that's why. That's so because they gone bye-bye. Nobody bought them. I think there's more to it, I know. Not on Drive-Thru RPG anymore. Damn, that sucks. I'm going to have to. And you know what? I'm going to go to Noble Knight, and it's going to be like $150. Great. Orcus Dorcas, are we getting the typical, I only run homebrew replies from the cheap seats for this one? We're not, actually. We're not. We've had a couple of people like say that they ran a lot of homebrew in the 80s, but nobody's gone hardline on that. So for that, I appreciate. Nelson says one of the books in the Dark Tower slipcase is the original module. Yeah, I mean, I guess if I have to get it, I might get it. I wonder if it's in PDF or if it's just hardback. I may spring for the PDF and then maybe print the original module out. The DCC version has the OG Dark Tower version reprinted in the first volume. Yep, 3 volumes. Got it. Good to know. Thanks, Wayne. Family's calling out. Back to the mines. See ya, Kev. Like, Shackled City and the Age of Worms series from Dungeon Magazine were pretty freaking good. I just sold my Shackled City. I think. I had the original hardback, actually, and sold it. I got a pretty penny for it. $100 maybe? A couple $150. Modules made me become a home brewer. Hoos. Here, I'm going to put this out to Hoos because he's like, hey, I don't want to publish stuff. This stuff's crap. Crap. Just see him crap. The director coming in and interrupting everything. I'm going to ask you, Hoos. Have you used published material in a homebrew situation? So you like this plot point. You like this NPC. You like this theme. I'm going to carry that over into my homebrew. Okay? Now don't lie to me. Orcus Dorcas says it's Drow. Oh, you got it right. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. Not an accident, Rob. I remember running an adventure back in the day from Dungeon Magazine. I think it was called The Temple of the Huntsman. Maybe. Lots of fun gameplay from that adventure. Ryan West, Savage Tide was the only one I ran from Dungeon. I read Age of Worms and Shackled City. I started Age of Worms, and then it went whoop. I loved a lot of adventures from Dungeon Magazine, even if I didn't run many of them. Yeah. And now I think Brett has all my dungeon magazines. Brett, I want them back. I want to run some adventures. I want to know which ones I have. Just kidding. Well, you better be getting some use out of them, buddy. Here we go. Who says not really used stuff from modules? Turned off by module structure and poor writing. I've stolen from fiction. All right, Hoos. Fred says I'll get you the list. Nah, it's all right, buddy. It's all good. So much stuff. Dungeon Magazine was a wonderful idea, resource for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Gabe the Big chimes in after pondering, sitting, stewing, thinking, deep thought. I put a lot of published material from Frog God in my campaign, but only because I wanted to get some value out of what I spent. Yeah. Yeah. I have the campaign setting. That thing is a beast. As soon as I got it, I'm like, what am I doing? Why did I buy this? Let's be honest. When Paizo had control of Dungeon Magazine, they absolutely killed it with excellent adventures. They did a good job. Paizo for sure was a good steward. Absolutely. It's unfortunate things went south. Had a good relationship, but Michael, good to see you. I think Keep on the Borderlands was the only published module I ever used. I like to read Through the Giants campaign and Descent into the Depths. We should have, maybe on the Discord, maybe in this thread, under my creation corner of the Discord, maybe I should put in like your top five modules, D&D classic. It's got to be published. Well, actually, it doesn't even have to be published. Just what are your top five, and everybody chime in. Mine would definitely be based on pure nostalgia, like, because when's the last time I ran, a classic D&D module? I mean, Tomb of the Lizard King, Lost Caverns. What else would be in there? I'd probably have Lost Caverns, Hidden Shrine of Tomashan, I think it is. Like, I always pronounce them incorrectly anyway. What else? I was not a Barrier Peaks guy. I actually despise that module. Only because, no, I won't say. Spoilers? This is kind of like a movie thing, right? Star Wars came out in the 70s. If I say Darth 80s, Empire was, if I said like, hey, Darth Vader's Luke's father, is that a spoiler now? Is it still? Is it the same for modules? Can I like divulge? It's just Barrier Peaks. I'm like, no, don't put that in my D&D fantasy. The Lich Way from White Dwarf is a pretty good adventure. Interesting. Brian says, I too have paged through the Frog God 700-page campaign setting. We probably bought it on the same bundle, Sean. I went and got a hard copy because I was thinking, well, because if I was going to run Castles and Crusades, maybe I need to set it in a particular setting that isn't familiar to people. Like, I don't want to run, I could run like Eberron, but that would be a setting I think would be good for people that know it. But there's something to be said about the player characters not knowing all the lore of a fantasy setting, which is crazy because I run Star Wars. So I'm all full of hypocrisy. Harrigan says, runner-up, the Forgotten Temple of Tharizdun. Yeah. Harrigan, word. Sean. We know you hate Barrier Peaks, Sean. Yes. Or we know why. Yes. Right. Yes. Thank you, Gabe. You guys get me. You guys get me. I remember distinct, like, very young, running, a lot of published adventures. There's parts of Ravenloft I distinctly remember, like, to interact, like at a certain moment in time, who is at the table. I don't remember the surroundings. I remember the first encounter, where the wolves start attacking the house, things of that nature. So there's little bits and pieces. But some of the other modules just kind of like I get lost. If you asked me like what the preface or the premise of Tomb of the Lizard King is against the reptile god, all kinds of other these modules, I'd be like, I don't remember any of them. I couldn't tell you the levels. Some of them might have an inkling because I know they're either low, middle, or high. But a lot of them are lost, right? But Barrier Peaks, man, I remember distinctly like going in and the DM is describing it without giving everything away, like not referring it, trying not to refer to things like in modern vocabulary parlance that would not have existed, right? Like you can't say, well, I guess you could say metal, right? But he was like, instead of buttons that lit up, it would be like gems that glowed, kind of thing. So he kind of trying to skirt that a little bit, like trying to make it perplexing to, a medieval fighter or wizard in that environment. And then I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, no. What's the question? Wayne says favorite module. Yes, favorite D&D module, Wayne. Favorite D&D ever. Spanning any edition. Third party, TSR or WotC, or individual. Favorite published. Got to be published though. I know, Ryan. Ryan's shocked. Sorry, Ryan. Spoilers. You should go and see the movie. Just saying. Wait until you find out about Luke and Leia. Jim says, I had fun playing in the Frog God campaign setting several years ago. No plans on running it myself, though. Yeah. Sean loves robot men in his Eberron, but not in Barrier Peaks. Yep. You're right. Yes. Hey, nobody said I was consistent. Nobody, like, yeah, there's plenty of things that don't make sense. Like, wait a minute, hold on. You wouldn't run like you have an aversion to running Tolkien because of the books and the lack of like, or the canon that is, but you'll run Star Wars. Yeah. That's right. That doesn't make any sense, Sean. I know. No one said Saltmarsh either, Ryan said. No. Rob says he was about to. Way to go, Ryan. You took Rob's thunder. Bard's Gate, the Borderland provinces, and the Cyclopean deeps from FGG was great as a player. Orcus Dorcas says, give me Castle Amber any day. That's the most fun to run. Oh, man. Funhouse adventure. Funhouse adventure. It's a long trailer full of weird things that the carnival's brought into town. I can't believe he said that about Castle Amber. Frickin' channel. Thumbs down, thumbs down, thumbs down. Speaking of which, since you're all here in your glory, do me a favor, do one of these. Like click this thing. Like there. Or one of these. And if you're not subscribed, why? It doesn't cost you anything. This is a free subscription. Free subscription. If your newspaper gave you a free subscription, you would click that button, wouldn't you? Yeah, that's the caliber I'm at. Local newspaper. Not really. And if you want to be notified when I go live, be it outside of this 8 a.m. time frame every Saturday, Central Time, hit the bell. It'll tell you. XNO Rob Saltmarsh made me switch to Pathfinder 2E from 5th. Ooh. Is that good or bad? I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm not sure how to read that one, Rob. City of the Spider Queen was pretty dope for Underdark Adventures. Brett, White Plume Mountain is my fave Funhouse dungeon. Handshot first. Luke is just trolling us. Ryan continues. Honorable mention to Castle Greyhawk. Albeit bonkers, though. White Plume Mountain is fantastic. William Thorpe, good morning, William. Good to see you. William, favorite D&D module ever. Your preference, no wrong answers. Any publisher, TSR, WotC, third-party individual. But it's got to be for D&D. Saltheart, good to see you. The Lost Caverns of Sojkanth. Fond memories from my youth. Yeah, is that the one? I think it is, right? With the woman lying down. Like they had the cool black and white print art. She had the lantern above her, right? We're like, no, it's bad news. Free subscription. That's how my dad would say. That's how they get you. This is worth way more than a local newspaper. I just see newspapers to light my grill. Thanks, Ryan. I am a step up from kindling. That's what Ryan is saying. Wayne says, I did not run any of these at the time, but White Plume Mountain was a lot of fun and kicked off a great campaign. Dorcas, not now. You apologize for Castle Amber first, and then I'll click like. Fine. Castle Amber's fine. I feel like that kind of thing. I'm sorry that you feel that it's a great adventure. Tim Jensen Blackmore. Oh, greater than Greyhawk. Wow. Let's throw down the Gygax Arneson. Let's bring in the Gygax Arneson argument, shall we? Blackmore. Probably, that and Birthright they're probably the ones that I know least about. So yeah, take my Grognard card. Victor says, unless it's nostalgic for me, I hate Funhouse adventures. They break my brain. Well, I mean, I'm not going to bang on Funhouse adventures if people like it, but, every castle made has weird things in it that, Sean, that's the premise of Castle Amber. It tells you in the beginning, hello. Harrigan, indeed, fine for being a Funhouse dungeon, except not really. Wayne says all dungeons are on the Funhouse continuum, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know. I would beg to differ. I understand where Wayne's coming from, but I do beg to differ. And the only reason and I'll tell you why, is because if you go into a castle, dungeon, whatever, spaceship, and you have to be on your guard for things that are kind of outside the norm or typical environment, right? So in other words, if you're in an alien movie and there's an alien creeping around in the ducts that is going to jump down and squish your face or suck your face off, that kind of goes along with that. But if you're in an alien movie and you go up to a door and all of a sudden there's a puzzle that you have to do to get through the door, then I'm kind of like, huh? But none of the other doors have a puzzle on it. Then it starts getting into, and then say, well, I'm not going to go into that door because it's got a weird puzzle on it I can't figure out. We'll go to the next door. And it's a normal door, and you open the door, and the whole room is full of mirrors. But none of the other rooms are full of mirrors. And why is it full of mirrors? I don't know. Because the wizard wanted to have fun and see you bump into yourself into walls. That's where I was like, what? So everything is stop, figure out what it all means, and it serves no purpose other than to screw with the players. To me, it can be fun if I'm in that frame of mind. Like, that's a Sean has an opinion. So if that is the premise, like, hey, here's kind of the deal, it's like this, okay, great. But it can get bogged down with certain things, and I don't want to die, so we got to figure this out. And when we figure it out, we overcome the conundrum, the problem, then everybody feels great. It's awesome. But if you don't, you die. Oh, okay. Just create another character. Boom, you're in the middle of the dungeon again. Move forward. Oh, you come across the prisoner. He's chained to the wall. Congratulations, your new character's into the scenario. It's just, if that is like the premise, and I know that going in, okay, fine. Give me the beer, give me the pretzels. All right. But I would just like to go in to a dungeon and not worry about every door being this weird, tricky thing. Because, I don't know, the big Tomb of Annihilation was enjoyable because the premise was trickster gods. That's kind of what they did. And they each had their own little theme. And it was a little puzzly, but I don't think it was in a bad way. It was like, well, if we don't go to this thing and figure out this puzzle, maybe we don't get a cube. Is there other ways to get it? Whatever. But the trickster gods is like, there's a history wrote up about them. And so, it's not like going through the jungle, like, was a Funhouse dungeon piece. The tomb was a little bit, but that's because of kind of the premise, like Serac, and I don't know. Does that make sense? Discuss. Dude, I don't know. Oh man. Jim, Funhouses are fun for con games. Totally agree. Yeah, pistols drawn at dawn, for sure. Absolutely here again. William, the only one I know I've been through is Sunless Citadel. I tried running Rise of the Rune Lords, but that group fell apart at the first session. Yeah. I just think, like, with Funhouse dungeons, Tomb of Annihilation, it's not a Funhouse. It's a Funhouse dungeon, but it's not fun. It's out without the fun. It's Gygax sitting down going, I'm getting tired of my players, like, doing, like, things and being successful. So I really got to bring the hammer down. And how do I do that? I'll make these things. And the only way they're going to figure it out is, by pure happenstance. Go to the next room. All right, guys. Yeah, all right. I didn't get him in the last room. Let's get him in this room. Like, it just, yeah. Right. Brett says, with the right focus and determination, you can make anything a Funhouse dungeon. Yeah, for sure. Yep. No argument here. Orcus Dorcas, a lot of old farts like me here. Anyone finish the DL series in its entirety? No, we tried, but it got to be like, I'm playing the books. No thanks. Pistols at Midnight. Brett says, never played Dragonlance, read a few and saw that railroad, and I realized I could just read the books and get the same scenery at my own pace, so I did that. Yeah, we were in the same boat as Brett, pretty much. Aliens and Ducks reminds me of the Mothership AP a few years back. Oh, Red Planet. Yeah, man. In D&D, I hate mega dungeons. They make no sense. Giant troll in small room. What? I like my fiction to make some level of sense. Old temples, old castles, subterranean burial chambers. I'm with you, Kev. I agree with the mega dungeon, too. It is another, I would say, it's not a subgenre, but it's a component of the D&D ecology, I guess. But I agree. That's very similar to how I see Funhouse Dungeon. Like, Funhouse Adventure, has these components. Okay, if I'm in that frame of mind and I just know it and it's beer and pretzels. A one shot, perfect. Same with Mega Dungeons. Like, hey, I'm gonna put you guys through Aaron Vol. I think it's called Aaron Vol. Yeah, it's a big one. It's kind of a newer one. I don't know, 600 pages. It's huge or whatever. But if I did like, I don't even know if West Marches would facilitate a mega dungeon very well. I think it's kind of maybe. The only reason I say that is you could put it, they're exploring, boom, entrance to a mega dungeon. They get so far, then they go back, and it's always going back and forth, going through it. And that would be planting that, and up to the players whether they just want to keep exploring this dungeon. Because you're right, sometimes that can be a drag and it doesn't make sense and what. So I do get your point. And there's times when I've wanted to run a mega dungeon in like a Foundry virtual tabletop where you've got light sources and shadows and fog of war and locked doors, and they have to unlock it and then they can get through. Not some will say, like my buddy Jeff will say, oh, it's like a computer game and I don't want to play a computer game. I get it, but having that huge dungeon and with tokens, and some of those, sometimes it's okay. Like, you kind of know what you're getting into. Like, I'm going to run a mega dungeon. I'm going to run Under Mountain, right? But I do see it falls in that same category as, in my opinion, the Funhouse adventure. So, but again, why would somebody create this thing? It spans like if you mapped it all out, if you took all the distance in a mega dungeon, it was like, it's a 3-mile freaking fortress that goes, hundreds of feet down. Okay. Like, it's we've been on this earth for a while, and I don't know if we've ever built something as crazy as Under Mountain. I mean, it's housing, I guess, but I don't know. City skyscrapes, I don't know. Skyscapes. Anyways, it's a engineering marvel, if you will. Who says Salt Heart hits it straight on? Well, what Moria? Moria's coming out. Did you guys get these? So I will ask Hoos and Salt Heart. Salt Heart, I'm guessing, probably did. Well, I don't know. Did you guys get in on Moria? The Kickstarter. Nelson says a funhouse should be like a playground versus museum. I'm with you. In a playground, you want to try everything. In a museum, you're afraid to touch anything. Yes. Yes. I think in a funhouse, I'd be afraid to touch something. But in a museum, I probably wouldn't be afraid of dying from touching something. But I do see where you come from, Nelson. Tim Jensen, Mega Dungeon makes sense if it's an underground city or some such, like the Cappadocian fortress cities in modern-day Turkey. There, I'm with you. Yes. Yes. Okay. Brett says, if you're not up front on the This Is Funhouse Dungeon with the group, it can be very jarring. Yes. And frustrating. For a lot of people, including the game master. Like, why won't they go through this door? There's nothing on there. It's not trapped. They've already checked. It's not there. And they don't want to go through the door, Well, why won't they? I don't know, because the last 5 has screwed them. Aliens and Ducks is the Funhouse Dungeon version. Yeah. Aliens in the ducks, exploding out of their bodies. Feathers everywhere. Ty says, Sean, did you forget to put your hair on? No, I didn't actually. Sean must be out of product. Dude, if you saw my hair right now, you'd freaking... It's funny. Besides, I'm sporting a beanie, man. What the hell? What's wrong with you guys? Nubis, for a wacky one-shot, I don't mind a gamey dungeon, but I definitely gravitate towards sensible, lived-in locations. I'm the type of person that is bothered by lack of toilets on trad game maps. Wow, that's awesome. Nubis, never divulge the buttons people can push. Note to self, running game with Nubis, no refreshers. Or toilets as far as the eye can see. Funhouse dungeons are made for DCC funnels. Beatty's Carnival of the Damned is the best. I agree. Yes, I've been in Dave's Carnival of the Damned one shot at Gary Con. Yeah, you got to know it going into it. Gabe says, yeah, mega dungeons like West Marches, and if it's best if you provide multiple entrances to the dungeon, some accessing different levels. For sure. It's, to me, in like a West Marches style game, throwing that, like a little dungeon, you know, they get through it in a session. It's got like, I don't know, 6 rooms, something that makes sense. It's below an actual former castle that's been annihilated. Yeah, okay, right on. You know, here's some weird room. Here's a couple prisoner jail cells, whatever. Okay. You know, maybe a library underground somewhere. 10-4. Mega Dungeon, put it there as a thing for the players if they want to go into it. And if they keep going and keep going and keep going, they're like, it doesn't seem like this thing's going to end. And I'm kind of tired of this. They can leave and then they can go somewhere else. Where if it's like the center of the only thing you're running, then to me that's like, oh boy, you got to know what you're signing up for, right? Like, there you go. Here's more modern gripe about dungeons. A similar break in logic and believability like Hoos and Saltheart are talking about. Factions in dungeon living next to one another who somehow haven't explored and interacted with one another. Arcane Academy suffers from this. Yes. For sure. And if you're running a mega dungeon, to your point, Harrigan, it's almost like Funhouse adventures. You almost have to kind of go, why is it like this? It doesn't matter. Who cares? Like, don't read too much into it. It is what it is. Interact with what you're facing. Blah. Unless somebody puts some really, really decent thought into it where it's like, and I don't know if it was Sunless Citadel. It might have been Sunless Citadel, where they actually said, you know, the kobolds are over here. I think it was the kobolds and the goblins fighting. There were like 2 factions in this, like the Sunless Citadel crashed into the earth, and that's kind of where you're kind of exploring. And it's not a mega dungeon, but I know there were factions in that, which made like, oh, that makes sense. And I think even the kobolds like try to get the players to like, hey, can you help us get rid of these, you know, folks that are intruded in on our turf? Yeah, great. But yes, some of this stuff doesn't make sense. Like, so, you know, sounds are probably the biggest one, right? Audio is probably completely underplayed in some of those scenarios. Because, you know, if the dungeon's a mega dungeon, you got all these like monsters in it, they're making noise. Like, they're not, hey, I'm going to try to be quiet. And then if they're making noise, so let me get this straight, Dion. So if I fail my stealth check, then we trigger this group of monsters to come and get us and eat us because we made noise. But on the other hand, there's like an ogre and a troll and a bunch of other things like down like a couple halls down and around the corner, but they're like quiet, nobody can hear them, and nobody goes and tries to fight them. Brett says, if I were to run a mega dungeon again, I think we got off on topic, didn't we? Well, it's not really, you know, this is what this is, right? If we were to run a mega dungeon again, I think I'd use borrow mazes. I've read that a few times, and for me, I like the way it holds together. I wish I would like Greg Gillespie better to buy borrow maze. That's my opinion. I'm just not, I don't want to buy his stuff. Jim says a lot of factions and interactions in Stonehell. Stonehell. Ryan West, you are a monster. I purchased the world's largest dungeon. I feel like I should have stopped there. Ty, dungeons remind me of the dungeon crawls where the DM would want to try to kill us every week. Made me fearful and paranoid. Yeah. Well, you can run a mega dungeon and not have it like that. Here's the deal with the mega dungeon. You take a mega dungeon and a Funhouse adventure and you mash them together. Oh, right. Exactly what Ty's talking about. Who says no Moria, but regret not? Oh, all right, buddy. Okay, I got you. Brett's got the OG Moria for Merp. All right, dude. Saltheart says, I did get in on Moria. Look at that. I would have thought Hoos would have got in on it and Saltheart not. My reading of people is off today. That's unusual. But duh, Tolkien makes total sense. Yeah, and it's probably not going to be like, it's a dwarven city going to Tim's point, right? Dwarven stronghold, abandoned, taken over by goblins and orcs and trolls. Sure. Every turn and every corner of the dungeon's not going to be a gotcha. Flint Fireforge. It belongs in a museum. To add it, now I want to make the Mall of America into a Gamma World mega dungeon. Dude, make the Mall of America a feng shui scenario setting. That's what I want to do. I've mentioned that before. Just do it, Sean. Jeez, quit talking about it, man. Who says Twilight 2000 mega dungeon, Soviet Cement City? Yeah, for sure. I'll read it out loud because I don't have. Hey, whatever. I am who I am. Orcus Dorcas. I just noticed Sean's hat. Piggly Wiggly out of Aquanet. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I am not too proud. Who says, and in that cement city, a whole floor of toilets for Nubis. We get to know each other here. This is nice. I like this. It's a quaint setting. Wayne says, I think the thing I'm looking for most for dungeon is that there is a story behind that structure. Is a good Funhouse dungeon, that story is madness or capricious magic. Yeah, right. Cursed magic, mad mage, put it together to protect something precious, and one way to do it is this. The only thing is like, oh, I see. So there's this thing in the middle of this Funhouse dungeon, and it didn't get tripped up by all the other traps. Like, unless it's like a golem, right? You can put golems into place. But some of this like doesn't make sense. Does it have to? It all depends on how you kind of pitch it, expectations wise, right? Victor says, even though it's not a mega dungeon, Lost City has a really cool setup for factions. They aren't oblivious of each other like in other adventures. There you go. Brett got the reference. Stonehell was a #1 hit for Spinal Tap. Indeed. Stonehell, where the witches are. I don't even know the lyrics. Tim says, I want to see a mega dungeon populated by a variety of monsters that have formed a homeowners association. Well, wouldn't that be interesting? How many days were the Fellowship in Moria? I think that's about the acceptable length you should spend in a mega dungeon. Yeah, they were just trying to get to through the mountains. They didn't even want to get in there. Victor is applauding Tim's suggestion on the homeowners association in a dungeon. I need to expand my horizons, Harrigan says. My favorite dungeons by far are the ancient sealed ones where no one has adventured in ages. I should experiment more with faction play whenever I next run a dungeon. Man, put some humans in there. Make it like a home. That'd be interesting. Salt Hard played a modern mall setting as a dungeon for a weird Heroes of Public Access. WHPA Channel 13. Dungeon HOA might be better than Corporate Dungeon. Oh, I see where this is going. Piggly Wiggly is a sponsor. Piggly Wiggly is not a sponsor. Just want to make sure I say that. But Aquanet should be. All right. We spent a lot of time about that stuff. Moving on. All right. Let's see. Let's get into some news. What's going on in the RPG hobby. We'll crank Zeus through some of these maybe. Maybe we won't. All right. Up, and away. So if you're a Foundry person and you are a D&D 5th edition person, then you might be interested in this. If you are neither, this will not be of any interest to you. So Dungeons & Dragons, the official module system, is now available for Foundry. I loaded it. I'm fairly impressed. The character sheet looks good. The way it works, dragging things, and so people are like, oh, it's the official D&D, so they collaborated and all this. I don't know about that. I couldn't figure out. I think this may just be SRD stuff that they put in there. I'd have to look at the monsters. I did not pull up the monsters because you can always tell that that's the case. If Beholder's in there, Mind Flayer. So it is, if you're a 5e player and you want to use a virtual tabletop, I would say this is pretty damn good. I would say. But again, not your jam. Don't worry about it. They actually do have, I think, the Lost Mine of Phandalin as a scenario that you could use. I don't remember if that's free or not. Here it is, Phandelver and Below the Shattered Obelisk. It's got the Wizards sealed on there, official licensed product. So the Phandelver and Below the Shattered Obelisk is an epic 200-page adventure that brings you to the iconic town of Phandalin in the Forgotten Realms, augmented with additional features that make the most of Foundry Virtual Tabletop. The journey begins with a reimagining of the classic adventure, The Lost Mine of Phandelver, but pushes onwards to reveal a sinister forces at work which place the very existence of Faerun at risk. So, yeah, I thought it was interesting. The module itself is like $30, so it is, you got to pay for that. But the system itself, you can install. All the monsters are there. There's compendiums, feats, things like that. I'll say this. Somebody, who was it? I don't remember. I have to give him credit. But on the Discord, maybe it was Nelson? No, somebody. Damn it. I apologize. But for West Marches, like, just use 5e. And I'm like, install this, make a D&D 5e character, call it a day, see what happens. So I thought it was pretty good. What does this partnership mean for the future of D&D 5th game system? So it's interesting. I don't know if I guess they're calling it a partnership, or somebody asked a question. I don't know if it's just a matter of Wizards of the Coast going, yeah, that's fine. You asked, that's fine. The SRD is already out there, so they're just kind of saying yes to something that somebody could already do. Funny how some of that works in the licensing world anyway. Like, it's in the SRD. We're giving you permission to things that you can already do, even if we didn't give it to you. But since we're, could sue you into oblivion, the third-party person's like, okay, good to know. I have their blessing. It is interesting because, well, they're doing their own VTT. I guess they could say no, but they could still do the SRD in Foundry. Anyways, there you go. That's good. That's something. Next, D&D Maker reportedly looks at Tencent to sell future video games like Baldur's Gate 3. So this is a combination of the kerfuffle. All right, see you, Hoos. This is the continuation. This is the saga of, oh, Wizards is looking to sell D&D. Wizards says, no, we regularly talk to Tencent, which is a Chinese organization that's worth billions of dollars, hundreds of billions, I think. And they own part of Larian. So apparently 30% of Larian is my understanding. And Larian is the developing shop of Baldur's Gate 3. So the rumor, if you haven't heard this and read into it, the rumor was, and it was put out by Pandaily, an English language publication that I think did it might have been put out in Chinese, and then Pandaily translated it and then put it out as a news article, essentially saying that Wizards went to Larian and said, hey, would you like to buy a D&D? You made Baldur's Gate for us. What do you say? And Larian's like, we don't have enough money. We'll go to our big shareholder, Tencent, and we'll check with them. And Tencent's got deep pockets. And so that started the rumor mill, and then here we are. Wizards had put out a statement, said, nah, time out. No, to be clear, we are not looking to sell our D&D IP. We will keep talking to partners about how we bring the best digital experiences to our fans. We won't comment any further on speculation or rumors about potential M&A or licensing deals. Squash. So there you go. I suppose I could probably put these links in there because I think Tad calls me out on them, or Ryan does. So there. It's good fodder for stuff, but it's get people into a kerfuffle. So there you go. That's that. We'll just keep moving. More D&D news. Head designer says 2024 books won't be released before summer. We will still be working on the books in May. Jeremy Crawford breaks down the very last Unearthed Arcana playtest and kills early 2024 launch wishes. So Wizards has never been a big, huge force at Gen Con for quite some time, since the days of 4th edition. But who knows? I don't think it'll be Gen Con specifically, because I don't think they're Pathfinder and Paizo. They have a list of 10 things they're launching at Gen Con in August. And it used to be, Gen Con had the releases, the big releases of the year for many publishers. I don't know if those days are still the same. So when the 2024 books for D&D will be launched, it's not going to be before summer. Will it be in summer? Maybe. Could it be at the end of summer? Possibly. So, no dates. There you go. Moving right along, in case you guys are wondering. Chaosium Pendragon 6e releases in April. There's a date. Hobby is only just catching up to what Greg did 40 years ago. So, if you're Pendragon, the starter set is already out. Player's Handbook releases April, along with The Grey Knight, an updated edition of the classic adventure by Mass of Nyarlathotep creator Larry DiTilio. Or is it DiTilio? So, mark your calendars. There you go. Long awaited. 4 years running most anticipated RPG, or on the list. Eon World. So it's coming. Like Orcus Dorcas told me in one of these streams, it's coming for sure. I'm like, okay. What's up, Tiffany? Let's see. Moving on. Rattle, 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 thunder, claddle. Starfinder playtest. Boom, bye. Excited to announce the release of our first Starfinder field test. These documents are a little different than the playtest files we released in the past. Unlike other playtest, field documents will not be accompanied by a feedback survey, as they are intended to be behind the scenes, look at what is coming. Look forward to August 2024 when the full playtest launches for your feedback. That's definitely going to be a Gen Con thing, is my understanding. So there you go. Starfinder fans. Orcus Dorcas says, I already had my calendar marked. There you go. I am interested in Pendragon. I'm a little late. I'm a late comer to some of these games like Cthulhu and Pendragon. Interesting. Why is that in there? I do not know. Why? Keep moving on. Dragonbane. Bestiary release date announced February 24th. Mark your calendars for that one, Dragonbane fans. You probably already have. So if you want some monsters for your Dragonbane, the brook horse looks like a deadly monster. Cat people. Ooh. Pretty. About $46, depending on the exchange rate. Collector's edition is approximately $74. Both pre-orders will give immediate access to the PDF of the book provided through drive-thru. There's a set of 64 cardboard standee pawns is also available for pre-order at $25 US. So there you go. Thanks for ianworld.org putting that there. Let's see. Dragonbane, where did I leave off, man? Ian World puts out Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Tribes and Tribulations expansion announced. Who's playing Warhammer Fantasy right now? Anybody? Anyone? Bueller? Probably one of the bigger franchises I have not delved into at all. Warlike and rapacious orcs and goblins plague the world and beyond. PDFs available now on drive-thru for 20 bones US. Cubicle 7 for the same, or a quid if you prefer. And then you could pre-order the hardcover from Cubicle 7. Hardcover is like at 35 bones US. Estimated Q3 2024 delivery, but you can get the PDF right away. That's pretty nice. I like that, right? That's a good model. Kind of ties you over. All right. Let's see. Moving on. Free RPG Day. Mark. This is all dates, people. Get your calendars out. Let's put these. Let's start entering these in. RPG Free RPG Day. June 22nd, 2024. Got a little time to prep for this one. Well, not only that, but then you can see what they're going to bring to the table. Like in the future, when you click on some of these, they'll tell you. So I think, let's see. Free League, these are just links to their website, I think, right now. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, once they submit things, you can click on their icon and you'll be able to see what they're actually offering for Free RPG Day. Look at these. Look at this line on that thumbnail. I'm going to line up at my FLGS so I can get some free swag. Buy stuff at your FLGS if you go to Free RPG Day. All right? Set of dice. Just something. It actually costs these retailers money to get this kit. So, point is to get you in the door so they could sell you more. That's how they get you, as my dad would say. Orcus Dorcas, Harrigan asked you a question. I don't know if you saw that. When's the GM book due for Pendragon 6e? Flint says, my store does not participate. I wish you could just order the stuff. Well, some of them are now putting them out in RPG, like in PDF after the fact. Noble Knight will provide them, I think, after the event for like $1 each. But you have to order like another product so that they could, I mean, it just makes sense for them to ship it. So just an idea, Flint. Oh, excuse me. This is not what I want to talk about. Well, I don't know why I have it under RPG news, but whatever. We'll go with it. I did not know this site existed. Dude, it's been around for like ever. What is wrong with you, Sean? Yeah, what is wrong with me indeed? Tabletop analytics. Somebody brought up, and we'll talk about it, crowdfunding, like how much creators are making versus like what the like Kickstarter is for revenue. If you like analytics and you like board games and RPGs, and I think probably card games and maybe some miniatures are thrown in here as well, you can run a few different queries. I mean, it's not going to be huge, but you can find out like this one is the top grossing trending live projects. And I think it's only Kickstarter, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it queries some of the other ones. So you can sort them and you can filter them by game type, RPG, board game. They have, like, here's, the type, the theme, components, the mechanics. So you can kind of filter them. Funded, whether they're above 50K, above 100K. You can filter by category, other RPG, tabletop, accessory. So it's pretty cool. You can check that out. Tinker around. See you, Wayne. Thanks for stopping by, buddy. So there. Yeah, I came across that. I'm like, ooh, this could be interesting. I don't know if it has legacy stuff, maybe. I think there's there is a project archive. So top grossing, like Frosthaven was $12 million. Wow. Look at Avatar was number 3 at $9 million. I think I went down. I thought I saw Colville's at like, his was down a ways, which was surprising because of the amount. Now these are just everything, like board games and everything. So I think Matt's was like 52. Nothing to balk at by any means. No, it's not. I thought maybe it's something else. Maybe it's on a different, if I filter by RPG. There's one of his. Is Blake in there? Blake, you use this? Yeah, and I think you can do by publisher too. So you can find out like the Crooked Moon. Like, what? $4 million. I mean, we might have brought it up on the stream, but I don't remember that being so high. Ryoko's Guide to the Yokai Realms. That's by D&D Shorts. That's like his first ever Kickstarter. It was at 3 million. That's crazy. So when I did the recap on this channel and talked about how Kickstarter or crowdfunding, not Kickstarter, but crowdfunding in general, really propels some of these folks into the stratosphere as far as getting something off the ground. I mean, it's no joke. So there you go. I thought it was a cool site. Ryan says, I filtered 2012 to 2023, $106 million US. All right, see you, Joe. Yeah. There you go. Let's play around with that thing for a while. 50 years of D&D. I know it's a little bit more heavy D&D today, but, 'tis the season. 50 years, 10 big moments. You want to take a stab at some of the big ones? Some of them are no-brainers, right? It's been 5 decades of mazes, monsters, and even movies. This is on the Saturday Evening Post. What are the big moments for D&D? 10 big moments. Just name one. See, I'm making sure you guys are still here and awake. It's not over till my bottle of Coke is done. First one, well, how about the release? It's a good one, right? Dungeons & Dragons created by Gary and Dave. Outgrowth of miniature wargaming. Instead of controlling armies in historical settings, players in this RPG would control a single character that would create in a landscape filled with mythical creatures and monsters. There you go. Very good, Orcus. Second one, joining with Gen Con. 68. Gygax had founded Lake Geneva War Games Convention the first year the popular show ran in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Continued in various Wisconsin cities as an annual event, spreading the word about tabletop gaming. In 76, TSR officially acquired the conference, which was already popularly known as Gen Con. It's only gotten bigger. It's been held in Indianapolis since 2003. I went to that first one in Indy. 1977, more versions means more players. Not more money, more problems. Some of the, in TSR's case, kind of. Oh, hell. Hey, hashtag too soon. It's only been 50 years, man. 40 probably. 35. It's a disaster, I guess. I don't know. With some of the original rules being very complex, therefore harder to grasp for young players and novices. TSR decided to launch 2 streams of products in 77. Basic Path, represented by D&D Basic. Box Set, and Advanced. A new series of rules experienced players. And now we didn't play Basic because we were advanced. 1983, D's and D's on TV. Post-Star Wars created a big boom in science fiction and fantasy at all levels in the sword and sorcery subgenre that D&D was firmly rooted in saw a proliferation of novels and films. CBS took 2 swings at the audience, one official and one unofficial. The unofficial attempt was the live-action Wizards and Warriors, which had a lighter, swashbuckling tone as it depicted 2 warring one god, one evil kingdoms. Despite a terrific performance by Duncan Regehr as villain Dirk Blackpool, the show is doomed by the Saturday night death slot that killed many shows aimed at teen audiences, who won't watch if they're out doing other stuff like playing D&D. I don't know if I ever knew that one. Dragonlance, 1984. See you, Brett. Dragonlance expands the world. Tracy and Laura Hickman. Dragonlance Saga was set in the world of Krynn. Contained creatures and races alongside familiar concept. TSR published a module set in Krynn, Dragons of Despair. They also released the first of a set of novels. There we go, by Margaret Weiss. I'm like, well, Margaret Weiss is in there. Sold excess of 22 million copies. 1985. 60 Minutes rolls a 1. So, in the interview with Gary, 60 Minutes, 1985. An undercurrent of the satanic panic and sensationalized cases like the disappearance of James Dallas Egbert III. Some cultural forces tried to lay blame for everything from suicide to Satanism at the feet of this game. Didn't hurt sales. One of the key opponents was psychiatrist Thomas Radecki, a founder of the National Coalition on Television Violence and a board member of the PMRC, Parents Music Resource Center. He would later be convicted and sentenced to prison for exchanging drugs for sex through his doctors and lawyers for a drug-free youth program. "1987, nobody forgets Drizzt." Well, with Dragonlance's affirmed success, D&D opened the world further with Forgotten Realms, a new collection of settings in which dungeon masters could set their adventures. Waterdeep, Icewind Dale, Neverwinter, designed by Ed Greenwood, become massively popular. Baldur's Gate 3 is out there. And then, of course, R.A. Salvatore, or Bob. Forgotten Realms novel, Crystal Shard. A drow dark elf, Drizzt, runs counter to the negative perception of his fellow drow and becomes a heroic ranger, battling alongside other heroes like the dwarf Brunar, Battlehammer, and the barbarian Wolfgar. Number 8, 97 and 99, Age of Acquisition. That's probably in the top 10. Wizards of the Coast. Making Magic the Gathering. Bought TSR. Then just 2 years later, toy giant Hasbro bought WotC. And therefore D&D. Hasbro, which either owns or holds the license for toys like G.I. Joe, Transformers, Star Wars, Marvel Universes, continue to produce D&D games, books, paraphernalia, while also committing to related action figures, yada, yada, yada. 2000, first time film. Though they have the most recent video to honor Among Thieves when they talk about the 2000 release. Interesting. So 2000 saw the release of D&D, the first feature film based on the game. Wildly considered a disappointment, the movie received a critical drubbing and failed to make its budget. There you go. Then 2023 came out with Honor Among Thieves. Number 10, 2014 to 2017, 5th edition and beyond. Updates to the overall game have been a somewhat regular occurrence, with new editions released every 5 years. The most recent version, 5th, launched in 2014. With updated versions of the starter set, player's handbook, monster manual, and DM guide. Oh, excuse me. Well, +1, 2024, 50th anniversary. If the new rules are as yet uncertain, the fact remains that the game is more popular than ever. As of 2021, an estimated 50 million people play D&D, with 45% of players being 30 or older. That's pretty big. But, sales of the game have topped over $1 billion, and new players continue to introduce to the game through pop culture avenues like shows, Stranger Things, evangelism of huge fans like actor Joe Manganiello, Rage Against the Machine, Tom Morello, blah, blah, blah. There you go. Good stuff, hey? Good stuff, hey? Did I put this in there? Did I copy the paste? I don't think I copied the paste. Those were probably pretty good ones. Top 10, I would say, right? All right. All right. Let's get into some print news, shall we? Print news. enworld.org. Check them out. Go click on all their ads. This is not sponsored by enworld. We are not affiliated with enworld, but we love enworld for putting all these things together. I think those dirty buggers, they put their news recap on Sundays. So Sean can't get to them until Sunday. Hey, I'm going to do more labor. Making my life hard over here, enworld. All right. Let's see. Oops. What do I got selected over here? I got to get this thing out of there. There. Okay. All right. So, print news. Oops, All Dragons 5e Ultimate Cities Pathfinder 2e by Legendary Games. Legendary Games cranking out material. Softcover supplements, $18 and $17, respectively. Ultimate Cities, I did not know this, builds upon the rules introduced in Kingmaker Adventure Path and provides new civic actions and expanded rules to build villages into towns and cities as the population expands with the PC's territory. Got a cramp in my foot. That's why I'm looking weird. Ow, God. And drink more water. Next one, Mouse Ritter box set and Mouse Ritter the Estate Adventure Collection by Exalted Funeral. Box sets, $55 each. Cool games. I don't own them. Cool games. Rats and Nim all day. If you like them. Traveler. Mysteries of the Ancients and Secrets of the Ancients by Mongoose Publishing. Hardcover supplements, $68 and $50. And the Wrath of the Ancients. What are you going to do? Sarah McLachlan. Whoops. Spoilers. Moving too fast. The Undying War by Troll Lord Games. $60. I should get my GM to run this. For the PCs, The Undying War starts innocently enough, since we're playing Castles and Crusades, enough along a tranquil river beneath the shadow of Blacktooth Ridge. But beneath the serene surface lies a world of peril and ambition that will draw the party into battle of epic proportions. A0 to A12 scenarios. Michael Curley, I swear it's not your singing, but got a jet. All right. Good to see you, Michael. Thanks for stopping by. Flint, see ya. All right. Next, The Glimmering by Monty Cook Games for Numenera. $45. Can experience a new campaign filled with interesting and dynamic NPCs, situations, and locations, and probably some new ciphers. There it is, rounded out with new creatures, ciphers, artifacts, and more. If you run Cipher System, you have to have ciphers. Transformers RPG Decepticon Dice and Dice Bag. $15 each. Dice Bag. $15. That's funny. Anyways. Dragon Storm. Red Dragon. Green Dragon. Dices. $20 each. By Fanroll. Resin dice that feature the head of a dragon captured in each of a set of 7 dice. Woo. You went to school with Sarah McLachlan? You ever date her? She got a sweet voice. And she's a dog lover. I'm starting to see something here going on. Harrigan's a dog lover, too. All right. There you go. Print news. All right. Let's get into crowdfunding. Geek Native pulled this article up. Kickstarter tabletop revenues on the decline for second year running, according to new report. So Tabletop Analytics, which is the site that I provided earlier, has highlighted that funding for tabletop game projects on Kickstarter specifically declined in 2023, making it the second year in a row we've seen a drop in the tabletop category. Okay. According to the data, this means that individual tabletop creators earn an average 30% less for their campaigns compared to the pre-COVID year of 2019. Interestingly, Polygon has stated this is the first year in almost a decade where Kickstarter has refused to share its data publicly. Head of communications at Kickstarter, Nikki Crea, said in an email, "We're not disclosing specifics around the total dollars raised at this time." It's so hard to grab tone in an email, in text. That's why the source of this story is actually sourced by Polygon from Tabletop Analytics, a third party which claims to draw from the crowdfunding company's own publicly facing website. So Kickstarter has unfortunately declined to verify the data. However, Polygon has done their homework, and the historical data from Tabletop Analytics seems to match up. So this chart that you're looking at is the millions earned over the years. So in 2023, it was just above 220. 2021, it was over 260 million, almost 270. So the data collected Tabletop Analytics from 2023 shows Kickstarter actually earned 10.2 million less from tabletop projects than previous year. It's a 4.3% decline. However, the decline is less than the crowdfunding giant experienced in 2022, which added up to 33.6 million or 12.4% compared to 2021. And then Sean hums Suzanne Vega. Victor, thank you. Thank you very much. Prefer the Sean tone added, much more entertaining. Well, Harrigan, I wish. Very nice, though. At least back in those days, I remember her playing her 12-string guitar in the hallways. Ancient history in 11th grade was better because of Sarah. That's awesome. Whatever it takes to get Gabe to comment, that's what I'm going to try to do. Success. Phil says, Kickstarter refusing to release data. TTRPG sales down? Uh-oh, was Ben Riggs right? Are the end times nigh? So there's a few things that are probably like, okay, so ask yourself why. It said 10 years, 5e. I mean, 5e's been kind of on the verge of sunsetting for the last year. There's a lot of 5e Kickstarters. That could be one thing. Could be competition. Oh, some people have gone outside of Kickstarter. So if you noticed in that Tabletop Analytics site, Matt Colville's Kickstarters are on there. But keep in mind, his latest RPG is not, because he didn't do it on Kickstarter. That's $3 million, right? Or did he hit 4? $3 million, right? Monty Cook, he was one of the premier. They were one of the first game crowdfunding campaigns to be on Backer Kit, I think, right? So, yeah, competition. So I don't know if they're going to go into this, right? So more money is going into tabletop sector of the crowdfunding site, but it just seems a shame that the average tabletop creator has seen their share of the revenue drop by around, 31%. From 67,000 on average pre-COVID to just 45,000 in 2023. Well, that's no bueno. I don't know. That's a hard one to pin down, right? That would be not competition necessarily, because if they're just going by a single Kickstarter, on average overall. Adam Poots, creator of Kingdom Death Monster, the second most funded board game in Kickstarter history, was quoted by Polygon saying, if the data is accurate, there are so many factors that could contribute to this. Great, that's a good thing to know. Crowdfunding fatigue, multiple crowdfunding platforms. Hey-oh, people aren't spending like they were during the first bit of the pandemic. It seems more natural than alarming to me. However, the creator also said the company's permissive stance on artificial intelligence was worrying. Continues, I would love to see Kickstarter slow down and focus on developing more much needed community management tools and draw an extreme hard line against the use of AI generated art and Kickstarter projects. To me, the trust of its users and potential users is more important than ensuring numbers only go up. Jamie Stegmeyer of Stonemeyer Games, Scythe, Wingspan, Apiary, Wormspan, backed up my thoughts on that one. It seemed prettier. It says, more creators are either crowdfunding for the first time or returning to crowdfunding, providing backers with a wealth of choices, but the total funds backers are willing to pledge aren't increasing. There's a lot more competition for each backer's attention. So competition just in the marketplace. I think this, my words, I think this is important, continuing with theirs. I think this is important data for creators to have as they plan for different funding scenarios, particularly for budgeting sunk cost expenses like art, graphic design, and advertising, and for estimating manufacturing minimum order quantities. The output is some form of mass production. Now, there you go. Interesting. I think there's a lot of factors to be involved, right? Like like everything kind of hits them, right? Competition, people maybe just fatigue, maybe getting tired of them not being on time, just waiting for them to hit the market. So here's an interesting, I kind of want to just touch on this quick. Let me ask you this, for those that are still here. Has your opinion, your willingness to dole out dollars for a crowdfunding campaign changed in the last 10 years? Some of us have been doing this for a long time. Some of us have backed, 1 or 2 projects, and some of us has backed like over 50. So if it has changed, what has made it change? Like if I ask Brett, I think Brett left, but if I ask Brett, he's just going to go, I got tired of, I'm assuming, I'll speak on Brett's behalf, but he'll just say like, I'm tired of kicking in, I'll have it by end of the year, and then it's showing up an entire year later. Like he just gets burned out on that for sure and just gets totally discouraged to have it late. So for him, he'll just say, I'm not going to crowdfund it anymore. Whew. So he's gone. And he'll wait till it hits the market and then buy it. So we're only talking about crowdfunding. We don't know after the crowd source. Because what could be happening is Kickstarter could be making less money, but the creator might not be. Like creator could be making more money after the crowdfunding campaign. So we're just going off of what primarily Kickstarter. So yeah. So Victor says, I guess I'm sorry for pulling back on funding projects in the past couple of years too. Tiffany Reynolds says, heck yes. Victor says, I'm tired of feeling ripped off. Gabe says, yes, it's changed. Gabe continues, fatigue. I'm very selective now, and I'm doing more PDF only when I do. Nelson, I've stopped getting physical products because of shipping. I still get PDF, but much fewer. I'd rather wait until it hits FLGS. Victor, no shows and late shows both felt like being ripped off. Got it. Thank you for clarifying that, because I was like, what? Define ripped off. Tiffany, getting creamed by Invisible Sun quality and cost, and I find bundle of holdings get me far better deal. I don't need to be an early adopter. Phil, shipping has changed how I pledge, so it needs to be something really big to pledge on. Also taking Brett's approach, a local game store will get the big releases for cheap. Ty, I hate the long wait for concept to when I get product. Harrigan, same as others, fewer overall, more PDFs here. This is just you guys. Like imagine throwing this out to the masses, I would be shocked that a lot of people haven't had some type of change because it's not new anymore. At first it was pretty novel, and a lot of people, that are doing these things deserve crowdfunding and help. But the game has changed, I think, probably, right? 2024. This may be like something at the end of the year. Looking back, crowdfunding campaigns 2023, you know, maybe, I mean, obviously by the numbers, maybe not as great, but I still do appreciate folks that are like, this is my first Kickstarter or my second one, and it's big. Like Ben doing Knave, you know, going from this on the first edition to this on the second, and D&D Shorts is multi-million-dollar Kickstarter. I mean, that's fantastic. They would never be able to do that, or have a much, much harder time should some of these platforms not exist. So it's great. It's given those opportunities, getting like Shadow Dark to the market. It's going to hit retail shelves. Fantastic, you know. But I think now it's kind of like, who is it? Are they on time? How often do they do them? You know, is it going to be even Free League? Like Free League, good company. You know, you guys know how I feel about Free League. If you don't get in on the Kickstarter, are you going to miss anything? You can have a Kickstarter exclusive, and you get some fans that kick in, but will I miss out if it hits their store or a retail outlet? So, and that's going to kind of like, how much money are they giving to Kickstarter? Versus, well, do they have enough data to just run a print run? And could they make just as much money without using Kickstarter? Some would say probably not, but, you know, who knows? Things to think about. Tad says, that's changed. It has changed. I used to back up to 10 projects, mostly games, a year. Now it's 1 or 2, usually zines. There's just an overwhelming amount of games these days. Harrigan says, Orcus Dorcas, my issue is being sold a bill of goods if it's finished product, but in actuality, it's not much like the current issues with MCDM. Janbot, I have to weigh out how likely I will be able to buy or find product in the wild. The weight is a factor as well. Roger French, tired of paying money for product I don't see for several months to a year. Continues, I'm still excited about it. When it actually hits the shelf, I'll pick it up then. He says, if he is. Orcus Dorcas MCDM just sent out a video essentially admitting they have no clue how their combat system works and has changed it several times. And it's supposed to be a combat-focused game. Rob says, yikes. Tad, +1 for bundles of holding and PDF purchases taking the place of crowdfunding for me. Victor Wyatt, FYI, Shadow Dark hits shelves in a few days. I saw that somewhere recently. February 5th. You can order it from the website. I don't know when retail. I think retail has to go through the same. Kelsey sent out an email. Phil says, oh my God, Orcus, that game isn't coming out for a decade. He's talking about MCDM. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just me talking and based off of what you guys are saying. A lot of factors. But the kind of novel, I would say it's like, oh, crowdfunding. Look at all these awesome games. These are fantastic. I'm going to chip in. It's a pre-order. It's come to become a pre-order. I'm going to fund it. We'll get it. Awesome. Now it's like, well, I'm pre-ordering it. Kind of. But I pre-order it, and there is an expected date, and it might hit it or it might not. And then there's like just the overwhelming, because it does enable people to put out projects. They could put low funding goals, and they could put out $1,000 worth of stuff and do well. Like Philip Reed does that pretty well. But it's, it's like the game store conversation I had with a game store owner here. And it's like 5 game stores in a city because we can all kind of get along. It's not a big deal. This side of town comes to our game store. And I'm like, you guys are literally competing with each other. Believe it or not. Like, it doesn't matter. If you're across town and it takes me 30 minutes to drive there, it's not that far. And some of us gamers are like, I'm going to go out of the house. And if I'm going to get out of the house, I'm just going to go to the game store. That's going to go across town. I drive farther to Noble Knight than I do my local game store. Like, one is 6 miles. The other one's like 10. Do I go to Noble Knight? Sure. Why? Because they got good RPGs. There's a big selection. Go back in the warehouse, grab me that weird thing that nobody's else going to have because you got such an inventory. Why am I getting into this? Because it is each one of these is competing against the other. I have $50 to spend. Where am I going to put it? And how many more games do I need? Because I want those two, but I only have $50, so I'll get another $50. And if they're good and they get a good reputation and they can hit the game store distribution, I don't know. I don't know, man. Shambot, I have games on my shelf that are screaming out for me. Love attention is another major factor for me. I have a theory about that. Orcus Dorcas, for me, games should be 90% done or more before doing crowdfunding. Maybe that's the qualifier. I think it's not. I think each one of us have to put in a qualifier for ourselves. You don't have to, of course, but I think it would be good, right? Like if Orcus Dorcas is like, hey, it's crowdfunding. Here's the thing. I need to know it's 90% done. Free League, many of them, not all. You crowdfund it, you get the PDF immediately. You get the PDF in a month or whatever. Sometimes it's slipped. I think like one slipping. Is Moria still like not out, right? But you probably know that. Solid Heart MCDM seems to be using clash points that in some way increase during combat. Definitely did not back. Vaporware. We'll see it someday in some form. Yeah, I really hope not. I would hate to see, Matt's, I would hate to see that happen to MCDM. There's good people over there. He pays top dollars to writers and things of that nature. And it would just be really unfortunate that the big black mark that would stand out above all of his accomplishments and accolades would be a botched Kickstarter. However you define botched. And I say botched in the majority opinion definition. Orcus Dorcas, I get print delays, layout issues, last minute changes, but you shouldn't still be figuring out the core basics when you ask for money. Nelson, some put away too many stretch goals that hold things up and add cost. I'm typically not interested in bits and bops. I just want the book. Kickstarter qualifier, a friend is doing it. Cool. Yeah. Oh, so going back to Shambot. I blasted. I'll keep moving. I have games on my shelf that are searching out for love and attention. That is another major factor for me. I'm reading Atomic Habits. If you're into kind of like self-improvement and some other like those types of books, then Atomic Habits is a no-brainer. If you're not into that and you think it's hogwash, that's okay. Then it's probably not for you. But it is interesting. And one of the things this guy brings up is like it's about habit forming and breaking habits and, productive habits versus non-productive versus bad or good and how habits are formed. It's a very interesting book for sure. One of the things he says is about like the human desire to want something and have it, and then it perpetually continues. An example is that we get excited we'll go to RPGs, so I'll tie it into this and Shambot and what they're saying is we want to have the book. Like, ooh, that would be cool. Dopamine. I get excited. I want the RPG book. And that is a certain feeling that is instilled in us. And then we get the book and that feeling probably subsides. So we put it on the shelf because our feeling for wanting the book is sometimes higher than when we actually own the book. Now, these are my interpretations to what he explains in the book, The Atomic Habits, but it is interesting. And I'm like, there's so many parallels that I'm seeing with some of us and how we buy RPGs and some of those details. And I'm like, oh man. And the thing is, he goes into like the human nature of things about, it's kind of like the person who has everything, or the person who has a lot of money and buys everything, but is still not happy. And so some of the logic that he puts down in Atomic Habits, you're like, this is why. So anyways, I thought I'd share that. And if you want to read it, great. If you don't, that's cool too. Kevin's cell heart's clearing up. So probably misguided, rephrase that. So probably misused vaporware. It is vaporware now, but I believe they will deliver. But 2 years is a long time. Victor says the MCDM project sounds like it's starting off really rough, but I hope they pull it off in the long run. Here's the other thing with just Kickstarters, Matt's maybe, I don't know, but we're Americans, at least. I can't speak for Europeans or Asian folks in Asia and, through Australia, things of that nature, South America, Africa. I'll just name the globe. We are very, dude, fast food, do it now, immediate satisfaction. Come on, like stream of conscious, things pass very quickly. We're on to other things. Like, I'm tired of this. I'm moving on. Let's go. So to have a Kickstarter and kind of a crowdfunding campaign and say, here's the situation. We're going to do this project. No, by the way, we're going to put it out in 3 years. It's so contrary to what we're like how we're programmed, in my opinion. You could set the expectations, and maybe you do, and they say, oh, I don't care. And I'm in a profession. I deal with this all the time. And it's about salary and money. And it's like, I'm not finding a job that pays me X, so I'm willing to come down. And it's like, good, great, but now I have to be concerned with the opportunity that comes along and does pay what you're asking for. So if you start kind of, it's a thing. So my point is that you say that now, and it could change because you're not getting the immediate salary you're requesting. So you decrease it. It throws things off. It's hard to explain. I'm not articulating myself very well. But anyways, going to the crowdfunding thing. I mean, how many of those backers are going to be like, dude, if MCDM had this thing baked and got it out to the masses, they would be ecstatic. And I'm sure that some of them are still like, it's a work in progress. No problem. I get it. It's the deal. And they could be like, hey, we're not going to put it out for 4 years. And people might still back it and say, yeah, that's great. Awesome. Okay. And they might be at year 3 going, hey, what's going on? And they could say, look, we told you 4 years. It's like 3. Come on now. We put this out there. And it still could not matter. I know that's what you said, but that's not what I want. Well, Terrence is smart. My book, 7 Habits of Highly Lazy People, will change your life for the worse. Or I always used to like the show Lifestyles of the Poor and Insignificant. Shambot, Atomic Habits, we'll look into that. Yes, that exactly. I looked to that as a way to stem that tide of constantly wanting to buy and consume 100% of all that. It's an interesting book if you like that stuff, for sure. Tiffany says, that's a good reason for the PDFs. They get you the game hit without spending the money on print. Hey, print has extra costs like storage and moving. Yeah. For sure. Accidental ROM Canada is the same. Fast and fast and fast. Now. Okay. See, there we go. I got a Canadian representative that could speak on behalf of Canadians everywhere. Thanks, Rob. It's just, man, I mean, I think we'd all say, would you much rather have, like, you could start pitting some of these scenarios against each other and say, would you rather pay more and have a 3-month wait time, or pay less and get it in 12 months? And how does one define a successful Kickstarter? Is it the company or is it the consumer? And what criteria? Because even like go back to the date thing. They could say 4 years and they could deliver at, midnight year 4. Is that a successful Kickstarter? The company would say yes. The consumer would be like, it would have been nice if I would have got it sooner. See you later, Tim. Tiffany says, how about a discount per X period they missed their mark? Ooh, wow. Yeah, who knows? Ty's like, more now, like already at my door tomorrow. Yeah, that's the way we are, right? Can you imagine getting back into the 80s and seeing a newspaper ad? Oh my God. A magazine ad in Dungeon or Dragon for the next thing that's going to come out. And you're like, what? Coming out in the summer? Oh my God. I want that. It's going to be awesome. I'm waiting. Yeah. Cool. Armor gird. And they could still do that. But it isn't pre-order. So I think, like, I don't know, man. There's some companies that have this stuff down, man. And I say probably more than anybody. I don't know. I don't have the full field, but Evil Hat, man. They commented on Blue Sky, Twitter, Blue Sky. They said, like, their last 4 crowdfunding campaigns, like, done early. What? Done early. Crazy. Part of me is like, you know what Evil Hat should do? Somebody should hire him to manage their Kickstarters or crowdfunding campaigns. We're going to pay you consulting fees to make sure our crowdfunding campaign is flawless. Now, don't get me wrong. Evil Hat's games, great, but if you keep having issues with your crowdfunding campaign, something's missing. Like, it can't be the same all the time. Oh, it's logistics again. Oh, there's no trees out there we can chop down and make paper out of. Oops. Come on. Oh, man. Victor says, I remember being mom or dad to write a check to mail away for things when I was a kid. Things arrived 6 to 8 weeks. Oh, I remember those. Yeah, that's right. There you go. Right. I remember. Yep. Harrigan hit it on the head. That's what happened with games like Blades in the Dark. Evil Hat project managed. They loved the game. They knew John. Dude, things are going off the rails, man. We're going to get this squared away. DCC's doing that with one of, they had to take over a Kickstarter that new TSR was doing or something. Like, they were like, we're going to get this out for you because we want to get it out and whatever. I don't remember what the product was, but yeah. And I'm sure, now it's kind of like under Evil Hat's thing. Like, that's, yeah, man. I can't, like, Kelsey, I got to give her props. She's done product before. I don't know if she's done, I got to imagine she's done crowdfunding before, right? Shadow Dark was not her first, was it? Could be her first. She has titles in DM's Guild and has been doing work in the industry. I think even contributing to like Wizards of the Coast, if I'm not mistaken. But can you imagine, like, D&D Shorts' first Kickstarter's multi-million dollars? Holy buckets, man. Are you going to, like, is that, if he gets through that without a hitch, man, kudos to him. Right? If he's done the research, has all his proverbial shit together, wow. I think I'd feel like a crook if I did a Kickstarter and I didn't at least have the text complete on a game or zine. Dude, I had a Kickstarter for a zine. It never came to fruition. It was a zine. It was like, I don't know, if I kicked in for $10, it's not that big a deal. It's disappeared. And the funny thing is, that guy, I know him. I've met him. I've talked to him at GaryCon. And then he goes to work at a company to do some like promotion. And he hits Brett and I up through the Gaming and BS email. And I was like, hey, Sean, I was wondering. And I'm like, dude, you better go get the Kickstarter done. Ty says, and hat is why evil hat equals fate means we all should play more Fate core games. I'll give you that plug, Ty. Market Magpie started out by assisting Kickstarters with planning and running their projects before he started his own. Mark Diaz Truman is who Victor is referring to. All right. Man. I think 2024. I might have to go back and revise my outlook in my video on the recap and say, crowdfunding will continue, but consumers are going to start scrutinizing things a little bit more, I think. Oh, by the way, good to know. Shadow Dark was Dion Arcane Library's first Kickstarter. Interesting. But she did lots of adventures before that, just not crowdfunded. Okay, good to know. Thanks for the fact check. Yeah. And I'm not sure, like, how that, like, I know Kelsey's she did Shadow Dark. I don't know Dion. That's Kelsey's last name. What am I thinking? Yeah, okay. Get my wires crossed. Come on, dude. What is he doing? All right. Let's get into some crowdfunding, man. All right. All right. Crafting Alchemy. Vault 5e. So this is for 5th edition. Crafting and Alchemy from Cubicle 7. Why spotlight this campaign from the creators of the 5e products such as Adventures in Middle-earth, Broken Weave, A Life Well Lived, Uncharted Journeys, I should say. Doctors and Daleks comes a pair of 5e source books that will make your players happy. Hammer and Anvil, you'll add the ability to create weapons and armor with epic effects. Want to create potions and poisons? Mortar and Pestle provides all the tools you'll need for magical and deadly concoctions. 10k euro target, 75k. Phil got a week. Memento Mori. I get hit with at least one email a day on this thing because I bought from Two Little Mice, so I'm on their mail list, and holy cow. So anybody get in on this? Memento Mori. They do good stuff. Two Little Mice, Outgunned. They did, what was the other one? Oh. Oh, shoot. Shane. Thanks, Orcus. Back it up. Here, Crafting Alchemy. And then Memento Mori. Set in Europe, 1347, during the Black Death. TTRPG focuses on the infected and the folklore monsters that attempt to consume them. As your characters encounter these horrors, they develop otherworldly powers that corrupt them. Sick, dying, and transformed, the characters only have their dream to hold on to before they succumb to the horrors of the fantasy age. $13.47, too modern. Maybe. Can you see them? Year Zero engine. Hey, all right. Year Zero. Let's DM Dave. Scenario book. It's a backer kit. It's an adventure. $20 for the PDF of the adventure and the core rules. It's an adventure for the horror RPG, a game that uses Year Zero engine. So he put out the horror RPG, and now this is an adventure for it. Nice. For the adventure, you wake in a storage unit with no memories. Once you break free, you're in deserted Oklahoma, and the real mystery begins. I think this was previewed somewhere, maybe. Maybe it sounds familiar, or maybe I don't know. Scenario could be played out with the heavy tension and chilling results. If you're a horror fan, there you go. Let's see what things are at. It's $92,000. Wow. 1,000 backers. $4,500 goal. Goodness gracious. Wow. Mechanical Monsters for Pathfinder 2e, 1e, D&D 5e from Legendary Games. $19 for the PDF. Creatures are described as the efforts of mad scientists and magitech, resulting in clockworks and robotics that blend alien tech with sorcery. Funded $1,000 goal, funded at $13,000. Henshin Sentai RPG Guest Stars Expansion. Cave of Monster Games. Sourcebook. $12 for the PDF. If you're a fan of Henshin Sentai RPG, then this project is cool. Add guest stars to your adventures. It's an homage to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and other Sentai genre shows. $10,000 of an $8,500 goal. Jukebox. The Karaoke musical tabletop role-playing game. Did he say karaoke? I did. You heard me. By Leela Macbeth Fujiwara. An original system core rulebook, $18 shipping and handling for PDF and print versions. For fans of musicals, singing, and dice slinging. Hey. Jukebox's version of karaoke is the game to play. Think jazz hands, big bands, and rabid fans as you man the stage for Lead the Parade in this musical played through mutual jamming. In gangs of dancers with lyrical answers, you'll sing and dream of a fun showstopper. Like Brave New World. Strange New Worlds episode, right? It's funded. $2,500, it's up to $12,000. Woot, woot. See, they're still going. Still going. No slowing down, man. Funded the Magical Land of Yeld. An original system. Second edition, $15 for the PDF. Campaign offers a backwards compatible second edition of this fantasy all gauges game, focusing on an easy-to-use rule set, teamwork, and exploration. This game intends players to grow through play. Lots of illustrations, explained through comics. This looks like a good option for younger players. $17,000, $15,000 goal. Kill Engine from Head Zero. For Cyborg. Does your Cyborg game need mechs? What? This crowdfunding campaign offers 2 zines to support your giant robot and cyberpunk needs. Kill Engine is a 60-page zine featuring all the rules you need to create and use your mech, including piloting, combat, and more. $3,000, it's at $15,000. Bam. Sistra. You're welcome. Compatible with Cyborg. 2 things here. from Severed Books. No, one thing. Sister for Cyborg Merkborg RPG box set with minis. $80. Oh, Sister, which stands for Starborn Invasion System / Turret Regenerator, is a cyborg mini-boss with a fun rule set. 80-page book gives you rules for the boss, new weapons to fight it, a full adventure, and adventure hooks to give the world legs. $5,300 at a $1,000 goal. 20 talking treasures. No talking treasures. Do you ever wish that your character had a talking weapon? No. This book offers 20 clever options from longbow, which can spy through the arrows it fired, to a suit of armor that still contains the spirit of its dead owner, and many more. Intelligent weapons. 5e and Pathfinder 2e. 2e. And then, of course, level up. A5E Game Pass Gazette Annual 2023 by Ian Publishing. 45,000 quid of a 2,000 quid goal. What's up, Brandon Barnes? How are you? Good to see you. That's all she wrote, folks. I don't think I have anything else. We talked about a lot of stuff. Little over. Thanks for sticking with me. Whoops. Why do I have that selected? Thanks for sticking with me this full 2 hours. If you made it, hey, mark XP. What is Pink Security Battle School? Are they like, Pink Security RPG. Pink Security. All right, I'll bring them up, Ty. Yeah, maybe take a couple gold pieces too, Salt Heart. $1,100 of a $500 goal. Pink Security. This is by somebody. Zine Quest. It's a Zine Quest one. Okay. Daniel Baker's Sakala. First one that Daniel created. Back 6. Oh, okay. There's a story. In January of last year, I lost my job over mental health. And over the next 6 months, my wife Amber and I worked on Pink Security together. And try to talk here. In its original incarnation, Pink Security and More was a graphic novel titled Polly Pink and the Apocalypse. Wow. Okay. That's a mouthful. We came up with Polly Pink, a femme punk do-gooder who loves her neighborhood and does odd jobs for hire. We poured our hearts into the world. Someday we would like to release the graphic novel. We are just as excited for Pink Security and More, a junk punk TTRPG setting. Are you in on this, Ty? It's funded. 27 days to go. This will probably show up later. All right. I know. Plosives, right? What's the other one? Gold is XP, isn't it? Well, maybe. Oh, hey, Eileen. What? Battle School. Battle School. At the Battle School. We broke all the rules. You guys know that song? The Battle School. Crowdfunding. Where is it here? I don't know if I can find that one. Is it out? Ty? Or thank you, Prunty? Battle School. Come on, man. Where's Battle School? What platform is it on? Battle School. Is it Battle School? Battle School. RPG. Crowdfunding. Battle School Kickstarter launch video. It's on YouTube. Maybe it's not launched yet? Ty. You saw it? That's the video. That's only on YouTube. Where the Kickstarter, is it on Kickstarter? Is it on BackerKit? GoFundMe? indie whatever. A go-go. This is like an indie a go-go. Just think of go-go girls. Go-go dancing, whatever. Keep going at it. Discord. Oh, you want me to launch Discord? You're killing me, man. I can't paste it in the chat, Sean. What do you expect? Do I sound like thank you, Prunty? Please tell me you DM'd me and not put it in some forum somewhere. Oh, you did promotion page. Okay, that's where you should put it. So, let me see. Launch a Discord. I'm waiting. I can't see the chat because the Discord's over it. Oh, man, Ty. You could have tagged me. Promotions. Fables. Oh, my God. Ty. You got it buried? I don't see it, Ty. How far do I gotta... There's Pink Security. There's Battle School. Okay, I found it. I found it. All right. Why is it not coming up in search? That's crazy. $500 goal, 626. Battle School. Welcome to... This is Andrew Bowman's first created. Back 24. It's a game for 3 to 5 players, one game master. Players will create the character, a cadet between the ages of 8 and 13, who has been shipped off to military school in space. Whoa. The design philosophy of the game is collaboration, teamwork, with a narrative focus on self-discovery and coming of age. The game puts the difficulty in the hands of the players based on the scenario their squad is up against and requires them to think as a team to overcome their obstacles. Combat is no longer about what you're doing on your turn, but instead asks, what can I do to help my team overcome this obstacle? I just think of like everybody helping everybody, but nobody actually doing anything like to solve the problem. Sorry, that's just me. All right, see you, Orcus Dorcas. Have a good one. Yeah, what's the elevator pitch? Welcome to Ouroboros Station. We've been selected amongst the population of your homeworld to begin at Battle School. As your shuttle approaches, you see a station resembling a planet with rings. Dead center sits the battle room, surrounded by the rings that make up the classroom that will be your home for the next 5 years. Squads of the other talented cadets fight in simulated battles with an array of non-lethal weapons, read Pugil sticks, and equipment, all with one simple goal: to become the best at any cost. Your squad will be your family. You will eat, sleep, attend class, and most importantly, fight alongside them in the battle room. You either succeed as a squad or fail as a squad. No individual succeeds alone at Ouroboros. I see where he's going with it. Everybody contributes. Nobody solves the problem. Yeah. All right. So we got to break into this thing. I'm going to help him or her do this. Like, it's just like this circle. It's like nobody does anything. All right, see you, Harrigan. I'm right. There you go, Ty. There. Well, and I suppose I should probably see it. Camera 2, man. Come on, man. There you go, Battle School. Oh, shut up, Siri. All right, there. I didn't put the pink battle one in the link in there. Anyways, let's wrap this sucker up, shall we? It's been a long, you guys get on with your weekend. People are waiting for you, probably standing at your door like, honey. He's like, I'm still talking to Sean. Who's actually opening the door? I'm going to help. Who's going to open it, though? I will help. Here's a crowbar. Well, I'm going to help this person. Too funny. I know what he's trying to do. It's good. It's good. Get the 8 to 13-year-olds to start helping each other and quit being such a solo player, right? Spotlight hogging. Thank you to all these folks that have helped me over the months, giving me a few shekels each month. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. If you want to chip in, feel free. Likes are certainly acceptable as well. Thank you so much for showing up on this fine Saturday morning. I stream here every Saturday, 8 a.m., 10 Central Time. I'll be here next week talking about games and topics and crowdfunding and all the stuff. So Thanks, everybody, for showing up. I really appreciate it. I'll let you go. Have a great weekend, or whenever you're viewing this, have a great rest of your day, night, evening, afternoon, lunch, dinner, supper, second lunch, breakfast, beer, hour, what have you. And remember, spend time with people you like, play some games, and be a positive force in the tabletop RPG hobby. And we will see you next weekend. Ciao!